it sound like we're in a studio together.
Awesome.
Well, the mics.
We're on.
We are.
We are.
That Henry, he surprises us.
Henry surprises every time. Yeah. There we go. And here we are. Hey, everybody. We're just in here. Oh, too loud. Having a little fun conversation, hanging out with my friend. Doctor, is it doctor or
yeah.
Coach? Or
Well,
Coach Doctor?
Yeah, I like Coach because Doctor just makes me seem so humble. I like to call under a table, kind of humble.
Coach Dr. Lowell Whiteman, who brought me into the station first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good times.
A little bit too loud. I know. It was so fun. And I was scared to death.
You're doing
Scared
good.
to death.
Kid, you're doing good.
I appreciate it.
You're rocking it.
So, hey everybody, this is Taste Live Nutrition Radio, streaming live here at KUHS Denver. And we are about fun, health, wellness, truth. You know, the goal is to bring truth about, you know, what there is out there. There's so much information and misinformation about health and wellness, which is really all encompassing. You know, today we're going to talk a lot about performance and solitude.
Yeah.
And you know, it all comes back to, it comes back to how we're able to handle stress and pressures and illness and all the things that this world has brought to us.
Yeah. It's, solitude is good for some and not for others.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, I talk about being alone, how to practice being alone, because that's a good, healthy thing, but coming out of loneliness seems to be the challenge these days. And it has a chemical response. And stress is, because it's a chemical response, it has to be removed chemically. And I think actually in the show you and I did a while back about stressors, you have to sweat it or urinate it. Some kind of bodily, the body takes care of it. But if you're not putting yourself in those situations to make that happen, you hang on to the stressors.
Right.
And if you hang on to that chemistry too long, it has an adverse impact to certain organs. You know, the most frequently commented about is your stomach. You get an ulcer.
Yeah.
You know, it's the gut. As you know, the gut is a very important component to keep healthy and clean, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to be here and talk about being alone.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a good conversation. It's gonna be super interesting, and I hope eye-opening, because it's not. The last year has not been an easy time. No. And what I am also super aware of, and I don't know how good I am at it, but is that it's kind of the point that this is all we talk about, is all of the stuff that surrounds COVID.
Yeah.
But I still think that there are aspects of it that are important, because it's not even just about COVID, it's about life, you know, and how we handle ourselves and how we take care of ourselves and how we think and all of these things.
Well, how we got to this place was because of a major pandemic globally influencing everybody. So we don't have the excuse to be able to say, well, it's your fault. You brought it to me. It's your fault. You deal with it. Well, everybody's dealing with it. And the good part, I hesitate to even say good, the benefits to this process is we have to take a look at ourselves. We don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
And if you don't, the consequences are not exactly, you can't return from them. And even though some are returning, they don't have their sense of smell when they return.
Right.
They lost their sense of taste when they return. And that could be the minimum for some. But for most of us, we're going to do okay with it. But my concern is, is your awareness at a high enough level that you're going to pass that awareness on to others? And as you do, share gratitude with everybody and be grateful for the fact I'm still here.
Yeah.
Still kicking.
Yeah, still kicking.
Yeah.
Well, so on that, real quick, you know, the way that we always want to start the show is something that we're grateful for. And so, what are you grateful for?
Well, be able to see you. It's been
it's been so long.
This morning, that was a big piece of gratitude for me. But expanding that a little bit is just grateful to remember those who I care about and want to have around me. And the desire to have them around me is quite large, because I don't get to see them. This is the first time you and I have seen each other in months.
It has been months.
Yeah,
way too long. Yeah.
Not to say we don't communicate, but the physical need to have contact is a healthy thing to do.
Yeah, it really is. This has not been an easy time for most. So it just dawned on me, because I know, because I was going to kind of say a little bit of the same thing, how grateful I am for you, and it's because of you that I'm here,
Yeah.
and because Wendy, that we met, you kind of take it back and back.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, I was doing a little Bible study the other day, and this is something that has really stuck with me over the last couple of days. And it was a story about Zacchaeus, who climbed the tree, so he could see Jesus. And the interesting part of that story was how God put that tree there specifically for that time when Zacchaeus needed it. And I was like, that's so cool, because I can look at the trees that have been put there in my life, you being a tree, right?
Yeah.
And then, when I can be a tree, and how cool it is that, if I'm planted just to be there for somebody for whatever reason they need. Anyway, it sort of stuck with me, and I just think that that's really cool, and I'm super grateful for that story and for being a tree and having trees.
I'm glad that you brought up that story, interestingly enough. And I would challenge everybody who has a familiarity with Zacchaeus and his desire to see beyond and over the crowd, something and someone who motivated him to look at the backstory before he got to the tree, and about what and who was in his world to get him to that tree. Because you use the metaphor as the tree, as that thing that was there, that person that was there to lift you up, in his case, literally lift him up. But I think you'll discover some more of that point of view that you just shared about people in your lives and how meaningful that is, based on Zacchaeus's journey to get to the tree, because he was a boy. And there's some, I'll just leave it at that. No need to go into a whole big story about it.
We'll have another show on Zacchaeus.
Yeah, but there were people in his world that he didn't expect them to do what they did to help him get to that place.
That's cool.
And be able to climb that tree.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Gratitude.
So
All about
gratitude. Yeah, we always want to, even when it's tough, we always want to, these are the things that change our own mentality and can then start to trickle down to the family, to the community. And this is one of the things that I keep saying is we have to work on ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, bring the good in, not focus on the negativity, focus on the positive, because you want that trickle down effect, and you want it to continue, because that's the way that we're going to start to build each other up again.
Yeah, and there's some energy in this world to that point that make it really a challenge to get to the interaction that allows you to promote the positivity.
It's true.
To promote the ability to climb the tree and see the sights. And that, I think we're getting past some of that, but we still have a great many journeys to have and interactions with people to have to be able to get us to a prevalence of positivity.
Yeah.
Not just, let's just talk about it a little bit. No, it's happening. It's here. It's right here with us. Yeah, good stuff.
Let's, real quick, because I know, Lowell has his Coach Coach Lowell. I love that. He has his show every Friday, and so probably everybody who's seeing this always sees your show, but just in case, if there are people who haven't, let's talk about who you are, where you come from, and then dig into the fun stuff that we can talk about.
On the real clinical, check the box resume kind of thing, I have my doctorate in educational leadership and human development, but I focus that energy through education, which is why I have a master's in education, and I teach elite performers how to maintain that level of excellence, but the definition of elite performer is up to you. So you could be an elite performer in what you do, but you may not be in the Pro Bowl, or you may not be at a contest of grand national consequence, but it's a Super Bowl for you.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what level you fashion yourself an elite performer. If you have struggles, there's obstacles, and you need somebody to help you through that, make that brain-body connection for yourself, I'm going to be the one you might want to call. And because I teach to it rather than mandate a strategy, I just told one of my skiers yesterday, I said, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just asking you to consider how you're behaving. So there's a behavioral scientist part of that with me. So my show's on Fridays about performance. I'm a mental performance coach. Do that with athletes and executives in all different genres of work. Years ago, my partner in life, who's also a CPA, her channeled very specific strategic thinking process. She says, what industries do you actually take care of. I go, why are you saying that to me? Why do I have to have an industry? Like,
Yeah.
I'm in accounting, or I'm in law. I'm performance. So you could be a tiddlywink champ, and you might need help with the tiddly and the wink.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, well, it's the little chips,
It is? Okay.
yeah. Click it into it. I'm old.
I've heard of it, but
Really old games.
I
It's
didn't
like,
know if it was real.
like dice, and flipping quarters on the wall. That kind of old. Tiddlywinks, people. Get with the flow. I'm bringing it back.
I can't wait for that one.
So it doesn't matter how sophisticated or sublime your desire for performance is. If you want to perfect it and you have obstacles that you're dealing with, call me up.
Cool.
Talk to me about it.
Cool.
Watch the show.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's a great show. I really enjoy your show and being a part of it when I have been in the past. So I think I want to kind of move into, what we want to talk about, because, what you do is you're dealing with the elite performers, you're helping them mentally, emotionally, mostly.
And nutritionally. I'm not you.
Yep.
I direct them to you.
Sure.
But you got to think about it.
Yeah. So with your clients, the people that you see on a regular basis, again, those elite performers in whatever capacity, what are you seeing with this constant solitude, right? So we're having to distance from each other, and some of them may have partners that they live with and some don't. And what are you seeing when you're talking with them, and how are people dealing or not dealing? What's going on? Because
of the aggressive nature of the disease, it causes us globally to have to change our infrastructure in handling the therapeutic sides of managing the disease. Here's an example of that. You don't want to get COVID. What do? Well, I create a process, call it therapy for myself, and it's the list that goes out there. Wash your hands 6 feet apart, wear a mask. All of those things are therapeutic processes to help you minimize the chance of you getting a disease. Well, that's wonderful and should be followed. However, that is a change for many people's behavior. As you've also heard the stories about people recently at the Rose Cafe, or Rose, whatever they call it. It's a bar with lots of country music in it. Wonderful place.
Here in town.
Yes,
okay.
right here in town. And they got video. Public Health was notified. Somebody took a cell phone video of nobody in the place wearing masks. 500-person capacity. So there's 500 people, elbow to elbow, doing their thing, right? Wonderful if it wasn't a pandemic. But that's a reaction of people not comfortable with being alone. The solitude. They've had enough. I get the frustration. But the consequences of going against that frustration and finding an alternative that makes you feel better could have consequences you don't come away from. Death. Now, we can debate all day long about, well, I'm not 75 years old, because that's the highest mortality rate group that are most at risk. Well, I get that. I'm 25. I'm going to die someday. I've heard those comments from the interviews on the beaches of Florida, of the young people down there for spring break. But the reality is, solitude is something that is part of the process to help mitigate the bad aspects of this pandemic.
Right.
And we don't know how to handle that. We don't know how to be alone at that level.
Well, yeah, we're not meant to be separate. We're not meant to be alone. And so is this, and my goal for you and for anybody out there who's paying attention, this is not a debate at all. It's truly question and answer. We all have our opinions on this stuff, but I'm curious though, are we causing more damage by making people be alone who shouldn't be alone?
I think we're not kind of a qualified yes.
Yeah.
But, and the but is, we're not giving them strategies on how to handle the solitude.
Yeah.
Look, we're very fortunate here in Colorado. We can get out in open spaces when we have a 12-month-a-year average temperature of about 49 degrees, and over 300 days of sunshine. Now, we're not Florida, but we certainly have, because of those conditions, we have the ability to get out and be around things. Now, that being said, in most cases, if we're not alone, it's only with 1 or 2 people that live with us. All right, so that's not common for us. We're not used to that. We're used to hanging with our friends and going to playing basketball and going to my karate classes and I haven't been to a dojo in months. And so swimming and biking, but we have those choices. New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, there's nor'easters going there. There's another one coming to them. They're going to be sequestered in the house just because of weather.
Yeah.
It's a difficult set of circumstances that causes people to not, they're fighting against their own mindset. And that creates an exacerbated state of frustration, an elevated concern about, and a desperate concern for finding alternatives, like going to a bar when you shouldn't be, and listening to great music. That's all wonderful stuff, but not at this time. And that's why you see the internet being used so dramatically, with live broadcasts with singers, which is wonderful stuff. You know, people like Alicia Keys is doing things, you know, Kenny Chesney, I mean, across all genres of music, they're stepping up and doing things, but it's not the same.
No.
So the human mind goes, okay, I appreciate it, but they haven't alleviated all of the frustration in their mind.
Well, no. I mean, more internet time, more computer time is not what we need.
Yeah.
I mean, and
kids
that's,
love it.
Kids do, yeah, but it's still not what they need either.
But you know what's interesting with that? That becomes a validation for moms and dads that they can continue to do it.
Yeah.
Because it lets them deal with their issues at sacrificing their own kids. So it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
And the solutions are going to be more effective as we get closer to more people taking vaccines, solving the problems of getting that out. You know, and people can grouse about that. We've also got a lot more time watching the news. I don't know if you're like me. I turn the news off. Don't watch it as much or not at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's on and off. You know, probably the last couple of weeks it's been less.
Because my recommendation for people is pick a time of day when you know there's something that is going to be reported. You know, like, and typically with programming on television, it's the early morning, right before dinner. You know, those kind of two times to catch up.
Just so you know what's going on.
Yeah, stay in touch with things, because that's also a mode of therapy for yourself. I can only imagine how many more people are yelling at the screen these days, and using it as a therapeutic device to get over frustration and the energy. But
I don't know. I think it creates more frustration than energy, or not energy, more frustration and more frustration. I just think it's like you can't watch the news without being pissed.
Well, remember, if it makes you sweat, you're getting stress out.
Okay.
So yes, I agree with you. Don't just yell at the screen. Maybe jog in place when you do it.
Get on your little jogger.
Yeah, and then go to the bathroom right after that.
Detox.
Yeah, because it is as much as we want to giggle about it, which is also therapeutic in a way. I recommend that people use those technology devices selectively to find a pathway to release. So literally, there's more exercising going on at home. So please use the TV or the cable and get a show and do your aerobics, do your yoga, whatever, right there in the living room or the dining room or wherever it's at. But also, you know, listen to Kevin Hart in a comedy show and just laugh till you cry. Yeah. Because stress is coming out. Tears go, sweat comes. That's all de-stressing. Make that happen. So it's hard. It's really challenging to be able to deal with this.
I agree. And one of the things that we keep talking about stress and the stress that this is all creating. And there are things that we know biochemically that happens to the body when we have excessive stress. And so we're living in a world where we have a lot of stress anyway, pre-COVID. And so now you have the stress of COVID, you have the stress of being alone, you have the stress of worrying about your family and your friends and all of the things. And so we have this increased amount of stress, and then sitting on the computer is stress, and then sitting is stress.
And then you gotta cook dinner.
And then you gotta cook dinner. What the hell am I gonna cook for dinner? Actually, that's an outlet. I think that's an outlet.
It is, but if I have to cook it, I'm stressing about it. Okay, what?
Yeah.
No,
So, it creates these biochemical changes, so it's affecting our gut, it's affecting our brain, it shrinks the prefrontal cortex. I keep wanting to say hippocampus, but I think it's the prefrontal cortex, which is our, sort of our mindset manager, and so once that shrinks, literally it's shrinking the brain, And so then you have more mood disorders and more anxiety, and then you're sitting at home, and so a lot of people in the beginning were drinking a lot, eating a lot, right? And so put on the COVID-10 or the COVID-15, when really what we're supposed to be doing is taking care of our immune system, boosting our immune system. What are the things that my body needs? Do the lab testing to understand what it is that you need to be optimal, because that's really where we should be anyway.
Yeah.
And so then, so we're disrupting our microbiome, which is 70% of our immune system. And if our microbiome is disrupted, and our 90% of our serotonin is produced in our gut, and so we have these kind of nasty little downward spirals that are happening because we're just not in a good place ourselves. I mean, it's going to spiral anyway, I think, to a point. But then you have to bring in, which is where I think you come in.
Mm-hmm.
And therapists, I can't even imagine where they come in, and even sometimes where I come in, I don't do therapy, but just as a,
Well, it's a connection. You mentioned you're doing the circle motions, and I use the circle as a metaphor all the time, where you are on the circle, and then you've got to add things to that to connect. And so when you mention the different things about the gut and all these kind of things, those are self-fulfilling prophecies that create, from street terminology, like we get depression, we get frustration, we have anxiety. Well, those can go away or be diminished greatly by being aware of what's going on in my gut. If you're gaining some weight, that's an indicator that you might be more susceptible to depression and frustrated because you are gaining weight than normally. So being aware of that cycle will help you create a strategy for yourself to come out of or not even approach a depressed state or anxiety and frustration. Because for parents, for example, and I've got athletes who are parents, and the athlete now is at home and is being asked to parent. And the other parent asks because they want relief, because you're here and I don't expect you to be here. And I can't go anywhere. So there's this never-ending cycle. So the things you mentioned the family needs to be aware of these touch points and that things are happening. And I said to one of my guys, I said, well, you're gaining weight and you think that's a good thing? Because you're already at 300 pounds. How does that, because even at that weight, if he's gaining weight, he thinks it's okay, it's not okay. And he's sedimentary. I mean, it's just sitting in a chair watching shows. So I didn't mean to take you off track, but there's a real good connection between, and should be. So another thing for folks to do is discover the connections and make those connections. You can, if you're a Zoomer at all, you can put more than one person on a Zoom call. So you could have your nutritionist on the Zoom call along with your performance coach, your therapist, or any number of folks. And well, gosh, there's a huge increase in doc in the boxes and the teledocs. We as much as this is a dilemma for us and a challenge for our brains to think through it, we have no excuses. We have so much technology that enables us to get in touch with what we need, but the never-ending, age-old rationale is create a strategy. Make a plan and connect the dots so that you are well served.
And I think, kind of going back a little bit too, it's the awareness. I would hear my clients or even just friends in the industry saying, I'm so afraid of the future. Right? I'm so afraid of the future. Which I get, being fearful of the future, but there's nothing we can do about the future. I mean, we have to live, we have to do what's going on right now. We have to live right now, take care of right now, because that's going to determine the future. And the things that you can't control, well, you can't worry about them because you can't control them.
And fear, you bring up a good word, and I tell athletes all the time that embrace your fear so you can learn from your fear. Now that's being said during common, normal times, less stressful. Now another consideration for fear is that respect it, and that know that it's here, and don't just be engulfed in it and not recognize that this is a fearful moment. And when you have that fear, it cannot be put in a bucket that is an excuse for you not to do anything. And many people use that. Well, at that point, you have started to jump into that depression mode, when fear has pushed you into taking no action whatsoever because you're so fearful. So family members recognize that, coaches recognize that in players. Notice that body posture changes when those things are happening. There's slumped shoulders, there's no eye contact, or they move their heads back and forth and look around. So the neurological responses to this make it look almost like you're Stevie Wonder for a while. You know, people get the extreme side of it is that your body movement becomes whimsical is a kind word about saying it. Because you're kind of, you know, and the younger the kids, the more whimsical that movement will be. For an onlooker, you'd think that the parents have lost control of their kids, and they may have, but those are outward signs that there's some fear, frustration, depression of some kind impacting and influencing that group. So if you see that and you're part of that family unit, take a breath, back away, find some way to get outside, change the environment, and renew the connections as a first step towards finding real good nutritional components that will help you get through it. And I'm not talking about ice cream or candy.
They're not nutritional.
Yeah. Tastes good though.
Yeah, they do.
Tastes really good.
This is where we find the better alternatives, like avocado ice cream. I made some, and it's pretty tasty.
You make me so. I just go. I can't do that.
It's so easy.
She is so humbling. Okay, so what else are you making over there?
Oh, I am a little bit hungry.
Yeah, see, here we go.
So let's take a quick break, and let's talk about Rightful. So Rightful is a company that I use periodically. They are a pain management company, but they're a natural product. So they have 2 formulas, one for the morning, one for the evening. It's a coconut milk based product, but the main component of it is curcumin, which is the main component of turmeric. And the product works so well that it's being sold in pain management clinics. So it's a great product. It tastes good, and it's good. It helps you sleep. It can help you sleep and to be calm, and also supports the adrenals. It can give you some focus. That's why I love it. I don't have pain, but I do have focus issues periodically.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Sorry. I lost myself there.
So it's all plant-based, great product. Give it a try. Understand though, if you do have chronic pain, know why it's there. If there's a root cause for it that you can fix, then this is not. You don't want things like this aren't meant to be permanent supplements. But I go back to my husband who has a fused ankle. He still has pain there. There's nothing that nutrition can do for a fused ankle. So it's great. That's a long-term need for a product like this. So good stuff. Give it a try. You can go to their website, rightful.com, put in the code TLN20, get a good discount. It's a really good discount. And especially it's less expensive if you have the, sent to you on a monthly cycle. So give it a shot. Good stuff. And so the other thing is we're streaming live here on, I did this last week. You want to do cheerleader?
Oh, geez, please.
Denver.com.
Really? Really?
It was really silly. So
no, not silly. I was going, cheerleader from her?
It really wasn't a cheerleader move, but it's fun to do.
But
makes
no,
me
it was
happy.
closer than I would have done. I would have kind of gone, okay. But KUHS streaming live.
Streaming live.
Right here.
Thanks
every other
so
Thursday, 10 a.m.
Cool. So let's kind of move into.
I love this. Love it.
Talking about, I don't know, what I have here is, coping. How do we cope? What are things that we can do to cope? I know we've talked a little bit about that already, but are there things that maybe we haven't covered that can help us, how do you help your clients cope? What are things that you say to them? What are tricks? Again, I know we've hit on some of these, but is there anything else that?
Well, you're getting into a really good area and a sweet spot for me. I talk about it all the time, both in consultations with athletes and executives, as well as on the show, about the 5 senses. And in these times, if we focus on that takes us away from focusing on something that's negative. So I focus on my 5 senses. So let's talk about our hands for a minute as a route to a strategy that will help you. And the hands can feel, they're mobile. So one of the things I'm going to ask you to think about is picking up a pen, a writing utensil of some kind, and write.
Yeah.
Write a note.
Journal,
yeah,
write a letter.
Or if you think, oh, I can't write very well, or it looks really bad, get on the keyboard and write a note to somebody. It's not get on the keyboard and go into the internet and vegetate on some site or spend a lot of money doing that. There's a few people doing that too. I'm talking about the creative stuff, the part that Nikki was talking about in the frontal cortex of exercising that in a directed positive way. So send a note to somebody rather than an email. So you actually write a note and then send that so that they know that you purposefully took action and that you share something of gratitude towards that person. And Nikki starts her show every week with a moment of gratitude, and that's a root cause to happiness and positivity. There are studies all over the country by psychologists that have made a living out of smiling and being happy, and gratitude is the root for most all of them. So that's the first one with your hands, 5 senses. And also, I'm sure Nikki can relate to this, smells. Lots of great smells. Olfactory systems, it's the first system in your body that's created in the womb, your olfactory senses. So when you think about, oh, I smell that, and that reminded me of. That's how powerful the olfactory system is. It will remind you of your past and history. So light a candle, bring in some incense. Heck, cook.
Yeah. I mean, those are the best smells.
Yeah, make some smells from that. So bring that into play.
Dogs smell good too.
Yeah.
And horses.
Equine, canine, she's into it, all over it. Can't say that I'm not either, but I am. It's really, I just don't get enough of it. And yet, I got to tell you a story about Dexter. Dexter's our lab. He's very tall, and this morning I swim 3 times a week, and so we were up, at butt crack of dawn to get to the pool, and Dexter was sitting. I'm standing next to him, and he leans his head into my thigh, like he's hugging me. And he looks up and he goes, and he does it again. He did this 3 times in a row, and Diana's like cracking up. She's watching him do this. She's like, oh my God, he's so cute, he's so cute. So anyway, I digress. But those are moments that you get. Now we talk about smells, but that's the visual side of things. Take time when you feel that you're frustrated. Take time to do the head switch. You go right, you go left, you up, you're down, and find something in each of those blocks of vision and say it to yourself. So screen, microphone, scarf, tripod. I mean, so what you're doing is you're getting your brain to deflect itself from the thoughts that caused you to get into that moment, because they were not feeling good. They were not good feelings. You were dwelling on something negative. The other side of things is the hearing side of things. And I'm going to ask you to take a sense away to accentuate the hearing. So cover your eyes with a moist cloth and soothe yourself.
Yeah.
But put on some music, perhaps that's a favorite tune. If you're really stressed out, put music on that has no lyrics. You don't want to focus on the words. You want to focus on the rhythms and the energy. And pick an energy that's going to be soothing and kind of flatten that line out that's gotten you to this place where you're looking for those solutions. Those are some suggestions about how to use some very simple, low to no cost strategies on managing the emotions and keeping them in control that fits your wave of getting things done. As I said earlier, TV can be a good and a bad, the cable system.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, there's some great stuff out there that many of us haven't seen before. I was talking to one of my skiers. Now, granted, I'll give her a break. She's 17, okay? And I asked her, I said, have you seen the movie Hoosiers? No, I haven't. I went, what? That is so motivational. I go, and I said to another kid a while back, I said, because he was dealing with, athletics and a relationship, I said, have you seen the movie Risky Business with Tom Hanks? Or no, not Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise. With Tom Cruise, he goes, who's Tom Cruise? Oh, I went, what?
Wow, he's even still alive.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I dated myself, but the message is to you about finding those visual stimuluses that really either take you back in time to a great place that you really had a good feeling about, or just brings energy into your world because of the content, the story, and the sights that are in the movie that really bring you to a better place. And those are some quick, there's more levels you can work with. And then there's the biochemistry part of that. You know, we all love popcorn, or maybe a lot of people love popcorn when we watch a movie. So the food you eat while you're doing these things is also an important part of that. For me, I've been attacking the mood swings into the depression mode with St. John's wort and ginkgo for memory and just staying focused, which is in addition to the nutritional supplements that I've been advised by Nikki to use for myself. I've gone through the gambit. I tend to believe that if I don't do it, I can't recommend it very wholeheartedly.
Right.
So
right.
I talk to my athletes about things that we discover together, but the strategies are ones that I really feel good about because I've been part of either utilizing them or seeing the results of the utilization.
Yeah.
And those are some of the things that I want to use to answer your question on.
I love that, and I'd like to give, because for me, people can tell me, okay, yeah, I can go meditate, I can go journal, I can do all of these things, but I don't really know how to do it or how to get started. So I kind of want to give a couple of examples because Lowry and I have been going through this process separately but together, right? And so over the last, oh gosh, I don't know if it's probably been 2 years now that we sort of started, okay, I think it's even started with money mindset.
Well, by the way, happy anniversary. I got a chance to tell you that.
15 years.
Yeah. Wait, you get to 40, we'll talk.
I know. It's so crazy. Oh, speaking of, did you know what my gift was? I know I told it on the show.
I did not hear it on the show, no.
1970s
Oh, yeah.
Stingray.
Oh, the Facebook, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
Stingray.
yes.
Yeah. She's so pretty. Her name's Ruby.
Let me think, is it red?
Yes. Yes, she's beautiful. So, anyway.
Yeah, good stuff.
So we've gone through this together, and we've talked about our processes a little bit, but we've each kind of discovered what works for us. And so for me personally, before I do anything else, before coffee, anything else, I'll get up, I'll go to my space, my room, and I'll read a Bible study. I'll try to meditate. I don't always meditate, but try to meditate. I'll say a prayer, and then I'll do some mindfulness, affirmations kind of stuff, and really try to focus on, okay, what's the day going to look like, and what's it going to bring, what are all the good things, and that kind of thing. Lowry, though, and so you can do things that are kind of therapeutic at the same time, which has been fun. So he's had some back pain. So he will, and then he went to the eye doctor, and he has, I don't know, some glands that are not functioning properly, so dry eye kind of stuff. So he has a neck sling to sort of decompress his spine.
Stretch it out.
Exactly. And so he'll do that, and he'll put the hot compress on his eyes, and he'll listen to his meditation and affirmations. And it's been really cool to watch. And then he'll do his journaling and these things as well. But to do these things that are physically therapeutic, but also mentally and emotionally therapeutic, and kind of combine them all into one, I think is really a great way of making it all work together. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're in my sweet spot. Yeah, absolutely. And I would add something you said when you were talking about your meditations and your Bible stories and reading that kind of stuff, and you said you didn't think you meditated or you don't do it as well as you'd like to. Let me maybe point out to you that the actual reading of the Bible and things like that is a meditative state.
Right.
So it's conscious awareness that you're in the state, not the fact that there's a formality of the action. Yeah. Too often people think I have to meditate by sitting in a certain position and going,
Yeah, no. I tend to just lay down.
Yeah, it's a conscious intent to recognize that you're in a meditative place. So that means that people can actually walk down the street and be meditating if they choose to.
Right.
It's like the person you look at and go, didn't you see me there? I'm right there in front of you. No, I was meditating.
Yeah.
Good excuse though, right?
Yeah, I love that.
I bumped into you because I was meditating. No, but seriously, that you can be, if you choose to consciously with intent, be in a meditative state, so that breathing is a part of that, that posturing.
Yeah.
So reading a great passage, you're breathing intently, you're thinking about the words, you're bringing the vision into those words and those framings. That's important, and that's the biggest difficulty I have with athletes many times. I don't meditate. I'm a guy. Or I'm an elite athlete. What do I need to meditate?
Yeah.
Well,
because you're an elite athlete.
Yeah, you can't seem to.
Because you breathe.
You can't seem to get under control with your words in an interview.
Yeah.
So they don't know, they have a frame of mind of meditation that is not accurate.
Right.
So meditating for them is many times at the top of a hill, waiting on the sidelines. I've got athletes now, well, there's a couple this Sunday that will be on the sidelines occasionally. And if they were to get a camera shot of them, you would see moments of them meditating.
Okay.
Before before there's defense to switch to offensive changes. No, I'm not going to mention any names. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Because then you go, look, can you look? What, do you see? Is he meditating? No, it's not going to happen. But you could meditate under those conditions if you consciously, with intent, choose to do it. So I'm going to add that to it.
I do want to take a quick break, but I want to also point out, because I love herbs and I love St. John's wort, but St. John's wort is not for everybody.
Correct. Oh, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. If it works for you, it's great. If you're already on any kind of antidepressant medication, that kind of thing, you got to be really careful with certain herbs
and drinking.
And
with St. John's, don't like take some and then go out and power down some brews. It's not going to be good for you.
Not good. Not good. So I have to, bring an awareness to that, because there are a lot of people who just see, well, it's from the ground and it's natural, which isn't always natural, that it's healthy and it's fine and I can take it or take as much as I want. And, herbs are powerful. Supplements are really, really powerful. They can also be very dangerous if they're the wrong ones for you or they're just trashy supplements. So anyway, wanted to throw that out there. But speaking of supplements, wow, that was perfect.
Yeah, segue.
And I got Henry right on top of it for me. Thank you, Henry. So, streaming live here on KUHS, KUHS,
she goes again.
Denver.com.
Like there's not enough energy in the room already?
I probably shouldn't do that anymore.
We should go roll. KUHS Denver, streaming live around the globe. You like that? I like
That's
that.
good. That's good.
That's my cheerleader.
Yeah. So Zymogen is another great sponsor of ours. They're a great company. They're a company I trust. I use a few different companies, but I use companies who I know are going to be the best. They're data-driven. They're backed by science. Their products are really, really good. And Zymogen is one of those companies. And so I support them. They support us. They support the clients and the patients of those who use it. But they, I just appreciate them for who they are. So you can go, you order through, it's Zymogen, but you order through Whole Scripts. You can go to my website, tastelifenutrition.com, and down at the bottom there's a button for Whole Scripts. You can go in, you can check it out. They've got supplements for pretty much anything that you can imagine. Now, I say that knowing, as I said, know what you're taking and why you're taking it. You don't just order stuff, you don't want to waste the money, and you don't want to order things that are not right for you. So know what you're getting and why you're getting it, but if you're going to get it from a good, reputable company like Zymogen. It's good stuff. So.
And write it down so your physician knows that you're on that stuff.
Yeah, smart. Everybody needs to know. Everybody who you see needs to know. Your team. That's what I like it when people build teams. I've had some people build their team, and I think people get better quicker when they have their teams working on all of the different things. We all need it.
It's tough, and that's a good segue into talking about therapeutic support, because the therapists that I'm talking to these days, many of them are not receiving any more patients because it's just overwhelming for them. They have to have therapists for themselves.
Therapist for the therapist.
Yeah.
But everybody really probably should have a therapist.
Yeah, I mean, and you should have somebody in your life that's therapeutic and knows what and how to do that process. Now, that's kind of me saying therapist, yes, but I'm going to show my bias towards systems irregularities. So you go to a hospital, let's say, and you're trying to find a therapist, and you think a hospital's a good place to go because there's probably a lot of therapy there, right? Well, yes and no, because the hospital networks can get really bureaucratic and really convoluted and cause you a lot of pain and frustration in a time when there's already a lot of pain and frustration. So make sure you look first at who you are and how you communicate so that you begin dialoguing with perhaps friends and family if they're willing to hear these things, because there's some private nature to it, all the things you might be saying, and not everybody's mother, brother, sister, aunt, whatever wants to hear your stuff. So
people need to be prepared to hear stuff. And there are people, as much as they love you, may not be as prepared as you want them to be to hear your stuff.
And that's a good point. Ask permission. And even when you get into the therapy mode, I reiterate this with each one of my guys and gals that I work with. One is I tell them I'm not your therapist, because there's a certain honor code, legality about being truly a therapist. And so I'm not their therapist because I don't take insurance. So that's a quick way of defining therapist or non-therapist. And yet I'm therapeutic. So I'm doing things that get to results. So I also then say to them, if we get to a place where you are still not comfortable yet, the anxiety is still there, the anger perhaps is still there, the fear, whatever adjective we're using to describe the conditions, that's when I'm going to ask you for permission to go to a clinical part, a therapist that will clinically address your needs. And that could be even deeper roots into nutrition and clinical tools that I just don't, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, sure.
And two, it's part of the team. You need to have that as part of the team.
Yeah, I mean, people are trained to do what they do. I'm trained in nutrition. I'm not trained as a therapist. I'm not trained as a chiropractor. I'm not trained as a functional medicine doctor, right? I'm a functional nutritionist. And so having that team is also all about, optimizing. And so, what I hope for in this kind of crazy world that we're living in is, now that we're beyond the point to where we think we have to eat all day and drink all day because we're stuck in the house, which is really not true, because we need to go outside and go for walks. Yeah. You don't have to wear a mask when you're going for a walk and you're by yourself. Just throwing it out there.
Hold on, let me think about that a minute. Oh, yeah. It doesn't take a lot of thought, does it? Come on.
So breathe in the fresh air, get the sunlight when you can, but get away from this. I hope this doesn't sound terrible, but whether it's an angry pity party or just a pity party. I mean, we've all had it. I've had plenty of anger throughout this process, right? And I'm sure
I don't want to get angry. You don't.
I mean,
it doesn't look good.
But take the time that we have now and use it constructively. Use it to optimize. Use it for, even for my own business. I've had to change the way that I do things. I've had to change the way the business works. I'm creating other things out of the business that I wouldn't have created or wouldn't have had time to create before. And, use it to optimize your health, because, again, going back to it, the things that we aren't hearing in mainstream medicine, mainstream media, CDC, all of these experts, that nobody's saying anything about keeping yourself healthy. Not a word. It's quiet. Nobody says get sleep, reduce stress. We're in a stressful time. Move, meditate, pray, eat well. Nobody's saying any of these things. Nobody's saying go get people are saying take vitamin D, but they're not saying go get your D levels tested, because you got to know where your D levels are in order to know how much to take. It's not just, let's just take, 2,000
What? I can't guess?
Yeah. I mean, there's some pretty important things that we can do here, and, find those ways to optimize. And that's kind of just why we're here, is when there are those questions, what is it that I need to do? What is it that I can do? And your practitioners that are all around you in whatever they're practicing, reach out to them. Find people you can trust and say, what can I do to optimize my health, my immune system, my mind, when we're going through a time of sheer craziness?
You bring up some really good things that trigger some of the things that aren't being talked about enough, and yet have both nutritional behavioral roots to them, and those two should be connected. One of those is brain fog, that kind of, I feel like I'm kind of out of it. Well, we're taking it for granted because of the conditions that we're living in these days. We're thinking that, it's COVID, so it's no big deal. I just feel a little bit down, or I'll get it back. I'll watch another movie.
More TV.
Yeah. So when you have that brain fog that will have components that seem like this, you're looking out into your room, or your home, or wherever you're at, and you really aren't seeing anything. It's just like a tunnel with kind of some fog around it. Literally, that's brain fog. That's why it comes with that name, is because there's this image of this stuff around you. So brain fog can be combated by you changing your scenery. That's the simplest way to do it. So you get up. You know, the attention span of a grown male is about 20 minutes, and that's being generous. With females, it's something almost double that. But in both cases, when you feel like you've been in a space for more than 20 or 40 minutes, get up. Yeah. And sometimes getting up doesn't mean you leave the space. It just means you get up. Yeah. I now have a standing desk. I can elevate it and reduce it. So I do that routinely during the day. For some of us, we have to have a little alarm that goes off.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah, to make this happen, because we are in a condition that everybody is in. Globally, everybody is in these conditions. So brain fog is something we need to be aware of, as well as making sure you maintain routines that are unique to you. So if you're a 3-meal-a-day kind of person, eat 3 meals a day. But be aware of what Nikki mentioned earlier about the COVID-15. You know, portion sizes, calorie count.
Don't count calories. Don't count calories.
Well,
it's such a pain.
It's a generalized statement. I agree with you, but because I don't. I just eat
I don't either, and I don't have my clients count calories. It's about eating good, real food.
Portions is me. That's my big thing.
We
if it's
definitely
there in front of me, I'll.
I know.
And we're making some pretty cool stuff. We're experimenting with some things. So that's the next piece after the routine, is expand the horizon of creativity. As you mentioned, most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, have either participated, most of us have passed it up, creative opportunities to do more. I generalize it with this statement. My King Soopers hasn't been so clean. Because they're paying attention to it. Not just because they have to, because they're just getting into it. So I asked at the pool, they wiped down everything between swimming sessions. And I asked one of the guards, I said, so how long is this going to last once everybody's inoculated? And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, are you going to continue to do this once you don't have to? Because isn't it good to do? Well, I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I go, oh, that's good. Quality initiatives have to be mandated.
So I have to put in a caveat to that, though. And
Cleaning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Because here's what we've done. If we're cleaning everything around us, we're cleaning everything inside us. So all of these antivirals, all of this stuff that we're breathing in, we're putting in our skin, in our body, on our body, around everywhere, is killing our microbiome. It's antimicrobial, it's antiviral. We have a virome, we have a microbiome. We have to have these things in order to survive. And so this is a huge fear for me over, what it's going to look like the next year, 10 years, 20 years.
I roll in the dirt at least twice a week. I just get out there and roll around, get all the microbiome, just make it all me.
Do you eat the dirt?
No, I'm like you though. I don't eat the dirt anymore. I used to, but I stopped. Because it was just really, the showers were just hours and hours of taking a shower. It was just so difficult to do. But I agree with you. There's what we consider as bad things are really good things. And so I would add this on the cleansing thing. Get alcohol, oh please. It not only will it just trash the daylights out of furniture and fabric and that kind of stuff, it doesn't stay there very long. We need cleansing stuff that does not diminish the biome. It doesn't trash it or cause us to have it suspect. We need the benefits of it. Now, how do you know that, right? Well, you use water, just friction and water, and a good the chemicals they use today, you don't even really know what's in soap anymore.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's the chemicals, it's the antimicrobials, it's all of the things that are really scary and damaging. I mean, they really are. And so we've got to be aware of that. And I know that there are places, we go to the gym and we're spraying everything down constantly. And I hate it when it gets on my skin. But it's the way that it is. It's the way that the world is now. And we have so much fear now of these, viruses and microbes and all of these things that really are healthy and beneficial for us. And I'm not saying that COVID is healthy or beneficial. I'm just saying there are these microbes that we're killing off. And so
overreacting.
We've overreacted. For the love of Pete.
Follow the science.
Yeah,
think about the science that really promotes good microbial health that's been healthy for you. And just don't overreact.
At the very least, think
Clorox
about
is making a whole lot of money on this.
So all of these companies, think about
I think I just lost a sponsor, I think.
Uh-oh.
No, just kidding.
No way.
We're streaming live. We can do whatever we want.
Yes.
Can.
Kind of true.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand it. I'll just say alcohol. Any alcohol-based chemical, whatever it is going to just, for the 10 seconds it's on that surface, it's going to kill every microbe on that it touches. But anyway, yes, you're right. I agree with you.
So take your probiotics at the very least. Eat fermented foods. Make your own fermented foods. It's cheap. It's easy. And it's really beneficial. You know, these are just really basics because the insanity of what's going on, you know, the spraying everything down is not going to change. Now, I avoid it as much as I can, but I'm also going to spray down my weights, right? It's what you do. So just taking your probiotics, just being aware of what's going on around you, what you're doing to yourself, what others are doing to you. You know, you got to, again, go back to thinking about you, taking care of yourself, take care of your family, so then that spreads. Making sure your microbiome is healthy, all of your microbiota are all healthy, because we have bugs everywhere, and they're very, very important, and we're creating a huge problem.
So to that point, some of you might do what I've recommended, and my athletes are doing this. They have their own cleaning solutions and their own spray bottle in their bags. So now many of them that are off season go to their own gym, wherever that gym is. They ask permission of that gym if they can use their own cleanser, because they don't want the alcohol. They want, you know, hypochlorous acid is one that works really well. It's not, it doesn't kill the microbes that alcohol does, and that can be put in lotions and different disinfectant bottle applications. But ask if you've got something you like and doesn't dry your skin out, doesn't make you feel like you've been a caustic's been upon on your body. Ask the place you go to if you can bring your spray bottle of stuff. And that you can legitimately prove to them that it meets whatever criteria they create. That's worthwhile. Now my athletes are a little different because they, you know, have a elite kind of posturing with what's going on. But you're special too.
We're all special.
Exactly.
We just all have our different strengths.
Yeah, just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Agreed. All right. We got. Well, there we go. So let's talk a little bit more about. So we've only got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You, where you can be found, who should find you, besides everybody?
Every Friday at 11 o'clock here at KUHS, we're streaming live the 360 Performance Show. You can go to my website, 360mindset.com. There's a calendar there. You can schedule some time.
Awesome.
You can get a freebie 15 minutes to talk about life, love, and just the hazards of being human. I should write that down. That was pretty good.
That was really good. I like that.
I'm a mental performance coach. I work with all kinds of athletes. I've had a time where I've worked with athletes who are couples because the athlete did well, and they said, my wife is really getting on me, or my husband's really getting on me, or my partner's really getting on me. So performance is not about just elite sports. It's about being the best that you can be and managing those people and things that enhance what you do.
Yeah. I also have a link on my website. If you go to resources on my website, tastelifenutrition.com, he's on it.
That's the best cheerleading I can do. Okay?
It's really good. It's very sportsy, manly cheerleading.
Yeah, thank you. I would go Broadway on you, but you wouldn't want to look at that. That would be just scary. Whoa. And I don't have my heels on anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I like those.
Thank you. It's my boots.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us and hanging out with us. We always appreciate it. You know, I don't ever say this, but, you know, if there are ever things that you want to hear about, you know, when it comes to health and nutrition and, you know, we really try to make it broad and fun. Dogs, you know, if you want to talk about dogs, it's about time to start talking about dogs again.
Yeah.
You know, I would love it if you want to, you know, put it in the Facebook, you know, comment section, you know, let me know. I'm always happy to you know, talk about what you want to talk about. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you know if you don't.
I know.
You know.
I know.
Can't read your mind.
No, can't do it.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it a lot. Larry, I can't read your mind.
Yeah.
That's
practice.
He says the same thing to me, though, I think.
There you go.
Communication, right?
Yeah.
So find me, tastelifenutrition.com, and all the social media. I do Facebook Lives a couple of times a week. I do one called Functional Friday, with my health coach, and I do one called Real Raw Health, and it is with a friend of mine from Parsley Pets. He's been on the show before, and we talk about feeding dogs raw. We talk about conditions dogs deal with if they're not fed raw. We talk about all things dogs, and actually a lot of human nutrition too. So those are always fun. But you know, we're just grateful that you're here with us. We're grateful to the team here at KUHS Denver and to Henry, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, 11
I'll
o'clock.
see you tomorrow, and then I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.